Okay, it is 6 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We need a motion to adopt the agenda, please.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adopt the agenda as printed. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. 3.0, approval of the minutes.
Move to approve.
Second. Moved and seconded to approve those minutes. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. 4.0, hearing of requests and suggestions of citizens and organizations. Anybody not on the agenda that wishes to speak? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, we're going to move to item 5.0 with our special presentation from Mr. Ray and Company.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you guys for your time. I was telling my wife, the older I get, the more I appreciate how precious time is. So thank you guys for your time. If I was talking to my class, I would tell them this is our objective for the night. So my objective on robotics is just to give you guys a little breakdown on where we've been, what we're doing, and possibly where we can go. So I'm not going to spend much time talking about the why on our robotics. I think that's kind of a given. If you look at what we've done briefly, when we teach robotics, whether it's in my class or extracurricular, you know, there's the physics, the mechanics, the math, even the English, you know, grant writing, the programming, industrial contacts that the kids make. We could talk hours about that. So the why is kind of a given. I just want to show you what we've done and what we might want to do next. So any questions on that before we start? So this afternoon I wrote down some words that might describe what comes to your mind when you see what you're going to see here in just a few minutes. Here's the words that I wrote down. I wrote down fascinating, cool, creepy, scary, intimidating, real, and futuristic. Those are terms that came to mind. And I circled intimidating. Robotics is not intimidating to me. Most of you know I work with Magnum Systems here in town, especially in the summers. I'm out there quite a bit, and I work with robots, industrial robots, every day. And I understand what they can do, and so they don't intimidate me. But in my class, every semester, several times, I will show videos to my students, and I will say, that robot is replacing somebody. And that is intimidating, because these kids are thinking, what are we going to do when we go to work? Especially if we're fighting robots for jobs. And that's the real. I also circled real. That's the real part of it. Within Parsons, Kansas, to the best of my knowledge, in our city limits, we have 5 manufacturers that have industrial robots. I'll talk more about that in just a little bit. So with that said, last spring before school got out, I went to a conference over at Pitt State. It was a construction conference. And to be honest, on the construction side, I didn't expect to see what I seen, but I get over there at the tech center and I go into the parking lot. They had a lot of stuff set up. And the first thing I see is a robot. And it was a construction type robot. Looked like an oversized side-by-side. But you've seen when they're pumping concrete into a large job site, there's 4 or 5 guys wrestling this big tube of concrete or spraying it. We've got robots doing that now. And they had one over at Pitt State at the conference. Very impressive. Then I walk into the building at the tech center, and the first thing I see to myself, to my left, is a Boston Dynamics robot walking down the stairs. And it's got a laser attached to the back, and they're advertising those in the construction industry for surveillance, capturing data, security. It's just amazing. I look to my right, and I see Depco, which I'll introduce those guys here in just a minute, and they had a robot walking around doing the same kind of thing. And I didn't expect to see that at a construction conference, but I did. So the next day I called Lori and Eric, and I said, we got to talk. Because I thought at that point, maybe what you're going to see tonight, I'm sure you've seen on YouTube. Most people probably have, but I didn't know it was maybe approachable at a secondary education size. You know, I thought maybe it's more of a research university kind of thing or a big college, but maybe that's not the case. But we'll get to that. So I did talk to Eric and Lori, and thanks for getting me into a board meeting. So what have we done? And this is the first picture I want you to see. This is what I call the benchtop robots. My categories of robots probably don't match some other people's, but this is, to me, the first category, and it's the benchtop stuff. The VEX robotics we do here at the high school in my class, and they get to design and build their own robots on a bench. And we have little competitions here at the high school. Mr. Miserable did a great job at the middle school level with the Tetrix robots. Same, I call those benchtop robots as well. I've been doing that for a long time. We started robotics, I think it was in 2004, which was my second year here at the high school. But that's the first level. If you can go to the next video. To me, this is the second level, and I went to YouTube today and I typed in Parsons High School Robotics Team 1448, and this is the first video that came up. And I thought, that'd be a fun one to show because I can brag about our kids and this competition. What you're going to see now is a 120-pound robot, competition robot. These are competition robots, and they're big, 120-pound robots. These are the ones that we have 6 weeks as a team to design and build. So what you're going to see here is a climbing robot, and it's entirely our design. Only thing common, and this is not a competition video, this was our practice, one of our practice sessions. Only thing common in the robots that go to competitions is the controller, the receiver, and transmitter. Everything else is up to the team. So to brag about our high school, to think that we designed that and built that in 6 weeks, I think is pretty impressive. We went to Oklahoma City, and 65 teams in Oklahoma City from mostly Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas. You'll see some California teams showing up, Mexico team. 65 teams. This was the big bonus challenge if you can climb the pyramid. Only 5 robots could climb the pyramid. Out of those 5, only 1 robot could do it in the autonomous mode, which is hands-off. And if you watch the guy on the controls, he had his hands off. So our kids at the competition, in the matches, all they had to do is get the robot lined up, they push a button, and they stood back. And that robot never missed a climb in the 2 days of competition. So that's fun to talk about. That's probably 4 or 5 years ago, but that robot we still have. But that's the second level. It's the competition robots. That takes the kids' experience to a new level because, to be honest, we don't have what it takes to build that here on campus. So we have to go to industry to build that kind of robot, and we do that. I'm scared to list all the companies because I'll leave somebody out, but the 2 that have been the most active in helping us has been Taylor Product, which is currently Magnum Systems, and Ducommun. Ducommun gives us that titanium advantage. So anyways, so the third level, if you can go to the next video, please, is industrial robots, and we have not done that. We don't need sound. Turn it off. So again, of the 5 companies here in town that work with robotics, Magnum Systems is the most prominent. In fact, they've got to the point where they actually stock robots. We used to just buy the robot to the job, whatever the job was, the customer's job. We're actually stocking them now. This is showing an application. What you see in yellow is the actual robot. Anything else you see is something that we designed to go with the robot. But this is an actual industrial robot. It's a FANUC. It's like buying a car. Dodge, Chevy, and so on. In the robotics industry, you got FANUC, Panasonic, Kawasaki, KUKA. There's just a bunch of them out there. We deal with FANUCs. But this robot replaced somebody. It's a short video. When it gets to the end, if you look closely, you'll see a second robot working with it. This is the real deal. And we haven't done that, but we're going to this next school year because, did it show the 2 robots?
It did. Here, I can scroll back a second.
It's quick, but if you look at the end, it's going to try to go to a second video. It's at the second video now. There's like 9 of them linked.
Oh, good lord.
That's also built here in town as well. It's a palletizing robot. So Magnum Systems is going to go to a larger robot. We've been using what they call an M10, which is a 22-pound capacity robot. They're going to an M20. To make a long story short, we get to inherit their R&D robot, which is an actual industrial robot. It's only got 134 hours on it, and in the robotics world, that's like brand new off the lot. These things will work 24/7. So when you put one in a facility, it'll go above 134 hours in the first week. So this one's like brand new.
There's the two.
There we go. There's the two working side by side. All we got to do is build a frame to hold it. It's complete, the teach pendant, the controller, everything, and it's the real deal. So if not the first day, second day I get kids back in class, we're designing a frame to hold that robot. So that puts us into the third category. The fourth category, and this is my what's next, possibly, is artificial intelligence. And that's what I want to talk about next. And if you can get those guys to come in, I'm going to introduce DEPCO. One of the, so take a look at this.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if people on TV can see
So if you
it.
guys can pause just for a minute, and then I'm going to introduce you. One of the 5 companies here in town, there's actually a cobot. Cobots is a new term too, and that's short for collaborative robots, and they're starting to use artificial intelligence. Years and years ago, we were very determined to keep robots and people separate in the industrial world because of safety purposes, and that's been done for years. But in recent years, they're putting sensors on robots and allowing the robots to work with people, and that's why they call them collaborative robots. And there's artificial intelligence involved with that. So this is where I'm going to turn it over to these guys. This is Tracy Bourne with DEPCO. DEPCO, by the way, has been fantastic in the 21 years that I've been here. Whatever it was that we do first, it's because of these guys. 3D printing, the water jet cutter we got, the software we use, they've been fantastic. And I've known Tracy now for a couple of years with DEPCO. So this is Tracy Bourne with DEPCO. You'll introduce him, and
Sure.
the show is yours now.
Sure, thank you. Do I sit, do I stand?
Sit or stand, wherever you want.
I better stand, I got a little bit of a drive afterwards, but thank you for letting us be here tonight. I know how valuable your time is. I'm a repurposed former superintendent, so I know how hard you guys work and the thanks that you get from everybody, so thank you for letting me be here tonight. I'm with DEPCO. After I retired, I took over the sales rep job here for Kansas and Oklahoma. We started partnering with Stokes Education about 1.5 years ago. They're out of Joplin, Missouri. They are the ones that developed the curriculum. We are their sales reps, so to speak. Gavin Philibee, correct? Philibert.
That's all right.
All
Close
right,
enough.
there we go. I've only met Gavin a couple of times, but he's been a great, actually, he was at that Pitt State conference when we ran into Bruce. So anyway, we have a couple of robots here. We actually have 3 different levels of robots. The Diablo, the wheeled one, is kind of our least expensive one. It's also our newest one. So I'll kind of let Gavin talk about that one in a little bit because this is the first time I've actually seen it. Then we have the Go 1, and the Go 1 has the Go 1, which is really kind of a demo model. You can get one with they call it Go CP, which means you can do some coding, programming in both C++ and Python. And then you have the Go AI, so you get C++, Python, and artificial intelligence is kind of what Bruce was talking about. So with the artificial intelligence, besides the programming, there are several different things that you can do with that. You can do, with LiDAR, you can do field mapping or mapping of your schools. So you could send this robot around your school and it will map your school for you, facilities, properties, those types of things. So it's being used a lot, as he said, in construction industry for that type of purpose. I know the Boston Dynamic guys out of Kansas City were saying that what they were doing with their Boston Dynamic, they put a LiDAR on it, artificial intelligence, would send it around the job site during construction, taking a 3D scan of each room. So you're getting actual progress as you're going through the process, and that at the end of the job, they're handing you not only blueprints this thick, but they're handing you a USB, CD, whatever digital format that you want for your copies forever of a 3D scanned job site from start to finish. We then have the Alien, which is a little bit larger, and then the largest one is the B1. It is dust proof, it is waterproof, it can be fully submerged. So if it's walking through a field, it can go down through a creek, walk across the bottom, walk up the bank, and continue on without any harm. Now, it's not something you want to put in the water for 3 days. It's probably not going to come out very well. And so some of the other uses that we're seeing for our units, our largest one, the B1, is being used by the Department of Agriculture in conjunction with drones to work a field, a vineyard back east. And the drone flies over the top, taking pictures, scanning and such, sees an area that's not doing as well, sends the quadruped robot across the ground to take soil samples, comes back with the soil samples. It's being used in safety and security. It's being used in law enforcement pretty heavily right now, and it's only growing, to be honest with you. Talk to people in agriculture, say, yeah, we can see how it's going to go to check pivot points. It's going to haul parts and tools out to the field for them, those types of things. Honestly, when I first saw this, I thought, wow, that's pretty interesting and maybe a little scary, as Bruce said. But what I really love to hear when I talk to people about it who've never seen them in different industries, what I hear is, wow, I could do this with it, where I'm not an expert in that industry, and so they're telling me how that they could see it being used, such as drones, for example. Some people have, when drones first came out, I know a lot of people thought they were simply toys, fun, fly. But then they became pretty prevalently used in industry. I know a friend of mine had his roof replaced. The insurance agent came out, never got on the ladder one time. Drone flew around his roof, took pictures, and says, "Yep, you've got a damaged roof." And he said, "You can tell that." He said, "Oh, absolutely." He said, "They won't even let me get on the ladder now because of liability." And so I really think that we're at the forefront of the usages of this, and that as industry starts seeing more and more of these, you're going to see the uses of these really expand. So, Gavin, if you want to do a few tricks, we have some pre-programmed tricks. So the Go One can do a lot of different things. He likes to show off and beg. These are pre-programmed, but students can program their own things to do. There are a couple of dances that are programmed in there. It can roll over, it can stand up. You can put it in lock mode, put it down low, and it'll creep along the ground. But again, what the thing that I envision students using is the coding piece, a lot of it, and them creating the things that they're going to do. I don't know if any of you watched the pre-Super Bowl party. I don't know. I think it's streamed now. I did not, but I didn't know it was happening until afterwards.
Yeah, and it just started a few years ago. So pregame TikTok tailgate. So what we did is we took our robots to, I think it was in Arizona where they were having the Super Bowl. And basically these guys just performed doing a dance with, he's a pop star.
Jason Derulo.
And so he had seen that, so that little pre-thing that I showed you right here, he does that little kind of begging. So Jason had seen that, and he had just created a new song. He thought it was a great idea to put a whole dance with it, and so he got with his team, and we got with our team, and we kind of just started brainstorming on kind of what dances he could do. And so we had 2 engineers work on that, which hopefully is kind of our goal, is to inspire a lot of young kids and be able to program in the future, coding, a bunch of different things. But anyway, they have our whole dance routine, even did a music video with them, was even at the after party too, performed there. So these guys are kind of like little rock stars, if you will.
as I said before, I want to make sure to mention that one of the great things about our robot is it does come with curriculum. So your teacher, although he probably is an expert, wouldn't have to rely on just his expertise. He would have curriculum to guide him and the students through proper usage and coding and such. So, questions? I don't know if you want to see, you want to show them a little of the Diablo?
Yep.
The Diablo actually, a little quieter than, than the Go 1.
And there's a lot of different things you can use them for, as he was kind of saying. But the cool thing about them, since they're programmable, you can add a lot of different attachments. So even for the idea you want to use it for the school use of kids learning how to program, just so you can have an autonomous mode where you can have these programmed to go up and down your hallways, even using them as a security tool. So with those attachments, you can use this as distracting certain people coming in that you might not want to come in, or everybody has a certain card and they have to show the robot that card, and if they don't have it, they might not be able to come in. Just certain ways to kind of help out, and
MSRO.
a lot of different ways. So you're not just hitting one side of it, you can hit them all.
I failed to mention that these do have cameras, so it's live streaming video back to. If you put an app, we have an app for it. If you put it in app mode, you can drive it looking at the camera, so you don't have to have a line of sight for the robot.
You mentioned face recognition.
Yeah, there's AI has facial recognition. So student management system you guys have, every student, teacher, staff member, board member that is uploaded into the system is downloaded into the robot, and as it's walking through the halls, if you're not using it during school, you can send it around just autonomously through the halls. And if it sees somebody it doesn't recognize, such as a sales rep that came in, you could program it to start following that person. And so that would bring attention to, we don't know this person, somebody make sure you keep an eye on them or find out who they are.
And these are kind of like one of the little dances we were telling you about, that so kids can learn to program a whole dance like this, even with your like school marching band or something. They can come out and your kids can learn how to program a little dance to go with the marching band, for instance. So there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it, but there's also a lot of serious things you can use with it. It's just kind of up to you guys and where you see it going. And obviously he wants it in his robotics class, so I'm sure your first mark will be the kids learning with it. But after that, you can start using it for a lot of different tools. It's really just up to you guys.
It will run 10 miles an hour, so if you put it in running mode, it can scoot. I've never really wanted to race it, to be honest with you.
I've actually had these robots race, and I will tell you, this one usually comes out on top, but this one gives it a run for its money. So you can have a little fun competitions with it too. Here's a little rollover, just to show you guys for fun. So.
If it's knocked over, it can get up on its own just like that. It does have balance, what's it called?
So there's certain motors in there. I think it's called gyroscope motors. So if you guys pay attention for here, I can sit here and it'll adjust. And if I kick it, it'll be able to catch itself as well, just as you and me. Now, of course, I think we're all in here strong enough if we needed to, so don't get worried. But if we needed to, we can give it one good kick and it'll fall over. Now,
Let's just get back up.
And it can go up and down stairs.
yep,
It can?
Yeah.
Can.
if you wanted to. You don't have to make it.
Is that the one that was in the field, that could go in a farmer's field?
No, this one isn't dust-proof or waterproof, so you probably
Oh, you
wouldn't
have
want
to
to
have-
run that
okay.
in a plowed field.
But they look like that, kind
Yeah.
of?
About
Now,
3 times as big.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they do
Okay.
get bigger, so
Oh my
these are smaller robots, but we have
Bernard.
ones, just like if you guys heard of Boston Dynamics, I know they were talking a little bit about it, but they're about your middle size. We have one which was called the Aliengo, which is about that size, and then we have a B1, that one gets up to here. He's a hefty boy. He's about 100 pounds. That's the waterproof and dustproof one he was talking about.
Yeah, and I've seen a picture of that one carrying a man that was 200 pounds riding on it. So, this guy can carry about, what, 10 pounds?
Yeah, so this small one can hold up to 10 pounds. The two-wheeled one can hold up to 40 pounds.
All right. Is that it? Questions?
I want to add one thing that I forgot in my notes here, and in working with Magnum Systems and talking to their service techs and their salespeople, and I heard this actually last summer. Since the pandemic, Magnum's customers, which is mainly the packaging industry currently, have told them, automate us and we don't care what it costs, because they can't hire people and they can't keep people. We've heard that since the pandemic. And when they're saying that, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be a robot somewhere in that picture when they say automate. Magnum Systems has actually changed their mission statement to say automation and not just the packaging industry, because it's gone crazy. If you're into automation, that is the ticket now, because everybody wants to automate. So.
You said that they could be in schools. Do you have any schools that do have them for?
We don't have any in Kansas at this point in time. I've actually got about 5 schools that right now are looking for different funding streams. We have them in.
We have a lot of different places that these guys are in school, so you could probably name a state. I might lie to you a little bit, but
No, you're not going to lie to them at all.
We're in most states. I'd say like right now you can name one, so probably Ohio. We're somewhere in Ohio. I know in like Atlanta, we're really big in Atlanta. We have a lot of robots sold there. For the education side, we're very, very popular among these kind of robots. And now, like I was kind of mentioning, the security side, we'll be implementing our first ones this year. Our first one will be in like Galveston. We'll do some in Oklahoma. So whatever it is, we'll hit that market at some point. But definitely in the education side, we're big in.
Bruce, if this is something you're trying to add grow one of these, is there an opportunity to partner? Like, would Mr. Peak have access to it as well, so that we can, there are a lot of 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders that are very interested in coding.
I was actually hoping somebody would ask that question, because, to be honest, the programming side is not my expertise. I'm more of a mechanical guy, mechanical design. And I would love to have Mr. Peak, whoever else wants to get involved, especially on the programming side, because that can be overwhelming.
Because he does do programming and coding at the
Right now,
elementary level now, right now.
He brings in the little bot robots,
Yeah.
and that's a huge hit with.
Yeah.
And if I could just jump in real quick, I heard you talk about the programming. So we also have a hexapod, and it kind of looks like a big spider almost, and that for your younger students, because you can use these for your younger students as well for the programming and learning side, but you can also use the hexapod ones for like a classroom set. So if you're wanting more than one kid learning programming, you can use those. Just throwing that out there as an opportunity just to think about. I know it's kind of harder to think about it without seeing it, but if you just see a big old spider, that's your best way to understand it.
And I will say, last thing I'll say, because I know you guys have a lot to do, but I know Robert Stokes, owner of SES, he is looking for schools to partner with, to where he wants to have a robot at every grade, not every grade level, every building level. To where it's not just going to be in the high school, it's going to be a learning tool as well as safety and security school in all of your facilities. And I don't know how many buildings you have here, you have 5. So what his goal is to come in and figure out, okay, what is the best solution for this building, and this building, and then work on how do we partner with that, and where can we make it affordable for you. And the thought was safety and security with that, so.
On our competition robots, we actually bring in programmers from industry to help the kids. Again, that's not my thing. But again, it gets the kids working with actual industrial people.
Right.
So.
Can I take a picture?
Sure. Go ahead, you can take a video. I can even get it to do its dance if you'd like.
I know.
It's up to
I
you,
want to
though.
take a video for
You
him.
guys want to take a video? You guys just let me know when you're ready and I got
Kind of
you.
gives me the creeps.
I'm taking one for my children.
And if you ever get curious to see the videos of it actually doing its whole, because the dances we have on here is a different routine. But if you ever want to see the Jason Derulo one, you can always just look up Jason Derulo Robot Dog Dance. If you
I
ever
typed
get
Super
curious.
Bowl pregame and I found it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that dance called?
I think it's a Macarena. You know, it's funny. Every time I take this to a conference or a show where there's actual students there, that's exactly what I get. The phones are out, and they're like, "Will you have it beg? Will you have it dance?" Then I usually find a student that's a little bit afraid of it and just start following that person around.
But you guys are nice enough to ask. Usually you get those little kids, they're just ready.
Oh, their phones are out.
Yeah.
So what are you, just to kind of help clarify, what are you
What do you want?
looking for, Bruce, in terms of what is it you're wanting?
I would love to see the Unitary robot in the classroom this school year.
Okay,
To be blunt, that's
okay.
what I want to see.
With the AI features and so forth?
Yes.
Okay.
I think the artificial intelligence seems to be a hot topic now in the school.
Oh, yeah.
I can't say that I understand the math side, the English composition side, I can't, but I do know the robotics side. And if I can work with the kids on this side, we might as well work with it before it blindsides us, because, we're not stopping it.
And what were you estimating the cost of, like, just for example, for that application?
The Unitary.
The Unitary AI, the one with the AI is going to be around, don't quote me, I give them a formal quote, it's going to be around $35,000.
Okay.
That includes the curriculum.
That includes the curriculum, yep.
Now,
And
also-
5 years of curriculum updates. So anything, you know how fast technology changes.
Sure, yep.
So we're going to provide you the 5 years of technology. We'll also provide you with a day of installation training on site. And the great thing about Stokes Robotics selling here in Kansas is it's located in Joplin. Depco's located in Pittsburgh, so we're right down the street for support and assistance.
And we do heavy support too, so like as in training or the programming side, if you guys need someone taught how to program or just simple things like that, we can also do that. And like you said, it's just really neat that we're right around the way from you, so it makes everything a lot easier for all of us.
What kind of maintenance costs do these take? I mean, what are you seeing in front of, like, repairs and?
So you really don't need repairs often, but something that we give you, when you purchase like one robot, we give you spare feet, just if you're like outside a lot. But if you're like looking over time, what's gonna break often or something, it's just your feet get worn out, they're rubber. So, you can only do so much damage. But honestly, he's probably had this robot for a year or two, and he probably hasn't changed them once, and they're just fine. But other than that, you're not looking at much maintenance, and if you do, that's with I think about usually a year warranty. We do that if you have any issues, if you maybe want your kids to learn how to fix some simple things, because really, as high-tech these are, they're also as simple too, so it could be a simple thing of just feet, really. I mean, honestly, you don't have a lot of issues with these guys, and if you do have any issues, you come to us and we can fix that for you.
Okay, I don't have any questions. Any further questions from the board?
Thank you.
That was awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys for letting us present to you.
All right,
Thank you, sir.
And so that'll be on the board agenda in the month of August for approval.
I wish that it had like a nice head with it or something. It's a little creepy.
I know it is.
A headless robot.
I do want to kick it. It's too close.
Okay, we're moving on to 6.0, report of the superintendent of schools.
All right, well, it is budget time. And so we finished 22-23, rolled the year over, there were remaining funds, so we transferred those funds into special education because there's always a need for funds there, and capital outlay because of the projects that we've got going on. So when you start the budget, you start with the open page, and that page really is a whole lot of estimating. It's like, well, we think we'll have this many, we think we'll have this many hours in CTE. We think we'll have this in ESOL. It's just a whole lot of really guessing, to be honest. But you use numbers from last year and look at enrollment trends and those kinds of things. So we did get the open page done, which is the first page, and a lot of that then transfers into all those other pages in the budget document. So Tanya's continuing to get, working on those remaining pages. August the 1st, we have an appointment to go to KSDE to meet with Dr. Neuswander, Craig Neuswander, and what he does is he goes over the budget with us, reviews it, asks, make sure we're on the right track. He just evaluates to make sure, okay, this makes sense, and double checks it. So we've got that going on. Otherwise, budget-wise, in September, so not in August, but in September, that's when we'll have our budget hearing, and that's also when we'll have that revenue neutral rate hearing. Those take about 5 minutes. We'll do it at the very beginning of the board meetings, what we've done historically, so that those things are coming up. So that's it for budget. Enrollment. So we opened enrollment last week on Wednesday online, and so we sent an email out and a text blast, and then we put it out on Friday on all the social media to let people know you go into Infinite Campus, you can log in and enroll. It doesn't take very long if your students have been here before and you remember your password. If you don't remember your password, it's not a big deal. Just call the office and we will route you to the right place to get you a password so you can go and enroll online. Currently, we've got about 30% of our students that have enrolled from last year, which we want that number to be more. Obviously, it will be. However, we are just getting started. Okay, so August the 3rd, there is an in-person enrollment date. So if you've called, you can't figure out the computer, or if you need a computer, we do have kiosks set up in the building so you could swing by on your lunch and enroll online there. But if you need some help, August the 3rd, the buildings will be open all day, extended hours for people to stop by and enroll. The big thing is at Lincoln, if you've got a preschool or a kindergartner, we can't enroll online just because there are so many additional requirements, paperwork-wise, health-wise. And also this year for kindergarten, they would like to do some academic screening and activities. And so when you come on the 3rd as a parent to enroll, you'll also schedule a time that you'll bring your kindergartner back and spend about an hour and a half where they will do activities and do some screenings, and the parents will have a time to sit with the principal and the instructional coach and to kind of go over, the top 10 things for parenting a kindergartner, and just things since they're just starting school, so they've got some good information. So that's August the 3rd, and you can always call the school offices any other time. Something exciting with enrollment this year is free meals. Free meals, in case you missed that and all the stuff that we pushed out. You already all knew because you'd approved that a couple months ago. But we did qualify through the community eligibility program, and it is a qualification based. It is an application that you fill out. So we did that. Special thanks go to Barb McClellan. She's done a good job. When she went through and did it this time, all of our buildings did qualify and were eligible. So there will be no meal charges for the 23-24 school year. Now, with that application, you all know, but there's the possibility of doing it for 4 more years. However, we have to say possibility because sometimes the state changes the rules and the laws and things. And with that, with the free and reduced lunch application, that's where we get a lot of our at-risk funding is determined based on that application. And now we don't have that application. So we have the household economic survey that we're going to really need for parents to fill out so that we are still eligible for the additional funding. I don't foresee that will be a problem, but you may get something in the mail. We need you to fill it out, send it back. Otherwise, we're going to call you, all those. Yes.
But it is supposed to be pretty simple, right?
It is
The
very
application.
simple.
Yeah.
The home economic survey is you put your name, you put your address, how many kids live at your house, how old they are, and how much money you make in a year. So, and that information is kept very, very confidential, so it isn't that it gets passed around or anyone knows. It's just a simple matter that we've got to have that so we can input that in the system so when the auditor comes, they say, oh, you received this amount of federal funds based on at-risk criteria, and here's the data that backs that up. So we do have those going on. ESSER updates. Okay, so ESSER 3, which is where we are now, we have until 2024, September 30th, in order to spend all of those funds. We currently only have $107,642 left to allocate. And that's out of $4,552,708, which was ESSER 3. Our ESSER 2 funds, and those were over $2 million, those have all been allocated. We're finishing paying that out. Those, we have a report that's due Thursday of this week for those funds as well. So we are making progress on getting all of those funds expended, and for, a big chunk of them for learning loss. There was that high school HVAC chunk. It is currently in task force review, which just simply means they're waiting for the state board to look at it. And it will just sit there until they do. So, but we did get a call. Dale Dennis called the other day from KSD. He was calling everyone and reminding them. And at that time, our HVAC hadn't been bumped up in the review process, so it still looked like we had $500,000 or $600,000, which we did not. But calling everyone and saying, okay, get all these funds allocated, even though we have plenty of time to do that. So that's the ESSER update. Any questions about that? No? All right, so tomorrow, it's back to school. All the secretaries report back tomorrow, which is a big fun thing. High school, middle school admin return tomorrow, and then our elementary principals will return next Tuesday. So they will be back in the buildings. They are back at the middle school. There may or may not be air conditioning. And, there is in the office. They'll try to get, but they're still working on commissioning all of those units and getting all of those up and running for the entire building. So, okay, August 3rd, I already talked about in-person enrollment and the screening, so you've got that. August the 10th, we have 11 new teachers this year. And so we're going to have our new teacher orientation. Board members, you're welcome to join us for lunch that day at noon. We will be at the high school in the community room. And that day is full of, there's tech training and class dojo training and Remind and all the different types of training that they will need, as well as we take a tour around town and visit the buildings so that we drive by in the buses. Yeah, an air-conditioned bus, you don't say drive by. Anyway, drive by the buses and, look so they can see where the buildings are. And then we typically end up at the youth crisis shelter, and then we get the boys and play a game of pickup ball and have snow cones. So that will happen on August the 10th, which is exciting. And then it's time for school to start. By the time we have our next board meeting, we will have started school, which is exciting. So August the 14th is teachers' first report day back. We'll have that day breakfast. And so if board members want to come and help serve breakfast on that day, we will do that August the 14th, because then we'll have our back to school picture, as we've done as tradition. And then we'll have a brief district-wide meeting. It won't be too long. We should be done by about 10 that day, 10:30. The next day, on the 15th, as a part of our professional development and in response to what teachers said that they needed, and one thing they talked about needing in their classroom was, discipline, other ways to support kids, to support behaviors, those kinds of things. We're going to do a day's worth of training from Ruby Payne, from her group, called Emotional Poverty. And there's a book that goes with it and a study. So that once we get those, I'll hand those out so that you can have those as well. But I think that will be really good information to have, stuff to put in their tool belt and kind of inspire them and get them excited for that day. And then the 16th is a full-on work day in the classrooms. They're already up there working now, but that day is devoted to work in the classrooms. That night, the 16th of August, will be sneak peek, the elementaries, so you'll be coming around and visiting all the different buildings that night. Then the 17th is the first day of school. Now, a little bit different this year. All the preschool's going to start, clear through 5th grade, 6th grade, 9th grade, and any new to the district, and it's going to be all day. It's a full day. And then on the 18th, it's all students, all day. Okay? So, anybody have any questions? There's a lot going on. I don't know where the summer went, but it's over.
Close to it.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to 7.0, the report on the July Tri-County Board meeting.
It was a packed agenda, as it always is in July, but it didn't take very long. We elected the same officers we've had for the last several years. We approved the consent agenda, all those items. We approved the KASB's recommended policies that pertain to special education. We approved the insurance, all the insurance agencies we use for all of our different people. Some handbook changes, approved the mileage, tip grant, technology disposal, handbooks, and some contracts for individuals, and that was it.
Thank you very much. Okay, 8.0, action to approve consent agenda items. I think we've got
And so
some
this,
alternatives on a couple of them.
I didn't look.
Well, the board meeting one,
The
on that
days.
resolution and so
Days,
forth,
that's
so.
in here, yes. There were some different choices for that. But this is the organizational portion that's done every July, and historically, the board has just done it as a part of their regular July meeting, but that's what this is.
So you can see starting on I guess,
8.0.
I'm just looking at the page where they can see all those items. It looks like, let's see,
Or where they can see all of them.
yeah. Well, you can see in your packet on page C, the treasurer, the attorney, location and time of board meetings, which is pages 9 through 11. We've got 3 options for that we need to resolve one of them. And then the appointment of all of those representatives. Action to appoint, or action to adopt the 1,116-hour school year, action on the mileage payment, and then on the next page, you can see all of those as well. So I think the only one we really need to discuss is the board meeting one. Is that the only one with alternatives?
The days. Mhm, That's pages 9 through 11.
So page 9 is the current structure, and this is the third Monday every month except when it falls on a holiday, which is January and February, and then we go to the Tuesday following. So that's what we do now. There was a discussion that maybe we want to go to the second Monday rather than the third Monday, because the third Monday conflicts with the city.
They meet on the first and third Mondays.
Okay, so we conflict with the city commission meetings. So some of us might want to attend the city commission meetings, and we can't because we're here in this board meeting. So we could change to the second Monday. And so I said, well, that may be possible, Matt, that may be preferable by the board, but do we want to start it immediately if we do, or do we want to start it after the first of the year? And so that's what the differences between resolution 2 and 3 are. So I don't know that I have a preference, and then if we went to the second Monday, we wouldn't have those conflicts with the holidays in January and February. So that was another motivation of the second Monday. So does anybody have any thoughts on that, second versus third Monday?
I think we're probably one of the few districts in the state that does do the third Monday.
Most
Most
of
of them do the second Monday.
They
Yeah,
do.
and I don't know why we do.
I don't know either. When I went to Tri-County, the very first meeting, every time when we have a meeting, it's on the second Monday, and they're all getting ready for a board meeting. And
Right.
I'm the least stressed that day because I'm not. We don't have ours until the next week, so.
So pages 10 and 11 would be the second Monday, and it would just be whether we start it immediately
August
or start it after the first of the year. Because I know some of us have maybe already got calendar items for the remainder of this year, so I'm just throwing it out.
Yeah.
So, does
I
anybody
won't
have
be-
preference?
Yeah.
I personally would prefer resolution 3 because I have already earmarked
Okay.
kid coverage through my
Okay.
husband's call schedule through the end of the year because
Okay.
that was what
All right.
was. But then I'm totally good to switch to the second because of conflicts.
Okay,
Yeah, and I'm gone, the first one, so.
okay. So Olivia, do you have any preferences on
I
that?
really don't.
Okay. What about you, Mike?
I'm fine, assuming that probably then next year we would just stay with
Only the second.
Probably.
second Monday.
Yeah.
The
Right.
second month, right.
Because I was in a district where during daylight savings time, the board meeting started at 7:30, and in the wintertime, it started at 6 o'clock
I see,
because
okay.
of
Okay,
the fall
I got
farmer,
you.
so.
I got you, okay.
I'm fine with this.
Okay, so it sounds like Resolution 3 would be a reasonable option. It gives us some time to ease into the second Monday. It'd start in January of '24. Okay, all right, well, I think that's kind of where we'll head then, based upon that. So we just need a motion to approve the consent agenda items with the knowledge that Resolution 3 for the meetings.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve those consent agenda items as printed, noting that option 3 for the board meeting dates. All those in favor say aye. 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 Motion carries. Oh, sorry, David, I guess I didn't confer with you. Are you okay with Resolution 3?
Yeah, Resolution 3 works for me.
I was going to say, if you weren't, maybe you would have spoken up, so I apologize for
No,
that.
that's fine.
All right. Okay, moving to 8.1, action to approve recommended June CASB policy updates.
All right, so those were handed out in June, and that was the first reading. And then I've added some additional information in the view, but it is recommended that the board approve those updates. Do people have questions?
I have one question.
Okay.
I called you earlier about some things and I got those straightened out, but I found something else on these pages are numbered, but it's like the 8th page where it says stop.
Yes.
Prior to adopting policy on the enrollment of
JBCC,
non-resident students,
right.
we have to
Yeah,
have a,
we can't do that.
have we done that already?
No, we haven't. So
But
what we,
before it's adopted, we have to have this.
right. So, yes, so in the view, when I'd said we needed to adopt all of those policies up to that, but excluding that one, because we have to determine the capacity, review the requirements, we have to hold a hearing. So those are all things we're going to do this fall, you're right. So that policy JBCC, we have to wait. That one we won't adopt yet, because we're not ready yet. And the other one is I've still not heard back from CHCSEK regarding Narcan, or that policy GFGA.
It's over there, I think.
GFGA, yeah. So there's a form, so there's this policy, which is the form that they say, and then here's the policy on administering it. So yes, those three, we would adopt all of those with the exception of that.
Of JBCC, GFGA, and, yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
With the exception of those three, so.
I'll move that we do that as stated.
Second?
Okay, so there's a motion to adopt these policy updates from the CASB with the exception of the ones noted, the JBCC, and then the two line items for JGFGA. Any further discussion on those? We'll have to get more information on the JGFGA.
Yes,
and then-
I'm waiting on information from CHC.
Okay.
So I've sent them everything that KSB recommended, and I know I heard from them week before last, and there was a group that was working on it, but I haven't heard anything else.
Okay,
So,
all right.
and since there are medical folks, I need
Okay.
to get that cleared.
All right, okay, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. 8.2, discussion and action on policy EDAA.
Okay, so last year, this was in those policies that we adopted, and for some reason, then when it's online, there are two options. Option one says you can't use school vehicles for 7-on-7 summer transportation or activities. Option two is that teachers and staff can use those things. We've been operating under option two forever, simply because it's safer for us to drive the students than for them to all drive themselves. Some of them don't have transportation. However, we don't have it accepted in policy.
So these are like during the summer and so
During
forth?
this, yeah, these are for summer activities.
I move that we go with option 2 for summer activities.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to adopt policy EDAA with the option 2. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. 8.3, action on the 23-24 student parent handbooks, bus driver handbook, parent student transportation handbook.
So all of those were handed out in June as well, and Jeff was the person to contact with all of that. He'd worked with admin to get those done. When he headed out on Friday, he's on vacation. He hadn't had anyone contact him with any questions or concerns. So there were a couple spelling things, just grammar things. We got those, so, I think. So I'd recommend that you approve those.
Move to approve.
Thank you.
Moved and seconded to approve those noted handbooks there. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. 8.4, first reading of the 23-24 classified staff handbook.
Okay, so this will be on the agenda for approval next month. Last year, KASB did a big overhaul of our classified personnel book because it was really out of date. So it's been updated. Since then, there weren't changes made from 22-23 to 23-24. There weren't any recommended, so it is the same, but that'll be, you've got a month to look at it. If you've got questions, call me. It'll be on the approval list or the agenda for approval in August.
Okay. Okay, 8.5, action on the memorandum of understanding with the City of Parsons to provide a school resource officer.
Okay, so we will have a school resource officer this year. We're excited. I saw Cheyenne the other day. She's excited. And so they sent us a new MOU. So the cost increases $5,000. But with inflation and everything else, that seemed very reasonable. And the MOU that's attached, when I sent it to KASB and had them review it, what Luke said was that was one of the better ones that he had ever seen. He thought it was really a pretty good MOU. So I recommend that you approve that.
Will they be starting in August?
Yes, she will be.
And they'll be located where?
At the high school. And so they make visits to all the other buildings, but they are housed, their computer and all of those, and desks and those items are at the high school.
Make a motion.
You made the motion to approve that? Okay, all right.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to approve that memorandum of understanding for the SRO. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. 8.6, discussion and action on staff social media guidelines.
All right, so this was something that we had last year. This isn't policy, these are just recommended guidelines. And so there's only been one change since last year, and so that is on the very last page of that, which is on page 30, and it just states that staff need to communicate with students and/or parents through the following, which would be district email, class dojo, which is for grades pre-K through 5, and remind for grades 6-12. Staff are highly discouraged from communicating with students and parents via text from personal cell phones. If parents want to contact staff by phone, they may call the appropriate school office. I think since COVID, during COVID, there were a lot of personal cell phone numbers handed out, and that's how you kept track and kept in touch with. Okay, we are past that. We have things in place that are easy to communicate and that will make sure everyone is safe. So that is the only addition of a guideline there. And we are going to have staff read, in order to make sure they've read it, we're going to ask that they sign that says that they've read it and they agree to follow those expectations and guidelines.
Do you know if there'll be any going over of it?
I'm sure there will,
With
yes,
faculties
there will be at the
personally?
first faculty meeting. So it'll be something that I bring up on that first day that we talk about. Here's this, you've seen it. It came out last year and we talked about it. Here's what's been added, but you're going to go through it as a staff and then there'll be that page they have to sign and return. We currently do that for classified staff. They have to acknowledge that they've received a copy of the book and have had the opportunity to ask questions or anything like that. But that way, it's in there as well. So the expectations are very clear. And no one can say, well, I thought you meant, or, so.
Okay, need a motion on that, please.
I move we approve the staff social media guidelines.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve those guidelines as discussed. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. 8.7, discussion and action on 23-24 accountability reports.
So if we look on page 31, this is going to kind of give you an outline of what we're going to share with the board each month so that you have got some idea of kind of what we're going to go over. So This is also the year, this fall, that we are going to write a new strategic plan. So a lot of those things, a lot of these different reports will fall under that strategic plan, and you'll be getting those regular updates as well. But this way, all the directors will be in front of you, the instructional coaches, counselors will get to share some things, administrators.
Do you really need action on this? This is just your, I mean, I guess we could accept this.
I guess you could accept it.
We could accept this kind of as a calendar for our accountability updates.
And because then if there are other things that you think you want to hear about, if we could know about that now and get them scheduled, instead of in August, someone saying, oh, I want to hear about this and this and this, then here are the reports. So if there are additional things, we could add as time, but these would be the focuses for the months. And I think it covers pretty much everything.
A lot of stuff, yeah.
It does. But that way you get information from a variety of people throughout. You're not just hearing from me, you're hearing from all the directors, you're hearing
I
from
like that this year.
administrators.
Seemed like more accountability for everybody.
It is, and what gets measured gets done. So,
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve this schedule here.
Move to approve the action and staff social, wrong one.
Yep.
The accountability reports.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve that schedule of presentation of the accountability reports. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. 8.8, action to approve the contract to St. Patrick's to provide meals.
all right, and so I had a number of people reach out and say, wait, USD 503 gets free meals, does St. Pat's get free meals? And so they are separate, so no. They would have to fill out the application for the community eligibility program to see if they would be eligible and do all of that. So what we have done this last year is that the district has been the caterer, basically. So we've provided the meals, they've met the federal guidelines, and then we've been reimbursed through that vended contract. So this is another vended contract for USD 503 to prepare and to provide the meals for St. Patrick's. So I would recommend that you approve that.
Move to approve.
Contract with St. Pat's.
Okay. Moved and seconded to approve that contract with St. Patrick's, provide the meals. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. 8.9, executive session. What kind of a timing do you need?
20.
Okay. Any board members have anything for executive session this evening?
I do.
You do? Okay. How much time do you think?
Just
you
like 5 minutes.
Okay, all right. So it is 7:02 now, so we'll go ahead and start off with a 25-minute executive session. So I would entertain a motion on that. Maybe a 5-minute break before executive session for 25, so,
Move to go into executive session for 25 minutes.
okay? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to go into executive session, discuss confidential employee information pursuant to non-elected personnel exception in Tacoma and the exception for employer-employee negotiations in Tacoma. And that was at 7:03, and it'll be 25 minutes, but we will take a 5-minute break before that starts. So executive session will start at 7:08, run for 25 minutes, and we'll be back in open meeting at 7:33. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, we're back in open session here. We're going to need to extend the executive session for another period of time. So it's 7:33, so let's go 12 more minutes. So I need a motion on that.
I move to go 12 more minutes in executive session.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so we'll go into executive session again for 12 more minutes for the non-elected personnel exception under COMA and the exception for employer-employee negotiations. Be back here at 7:45. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. Going to need to extend again for another 5 minutes, so need a motion.
I'm freezing.
I move that we go in for 5 minutes more.
Okay, 7:45, 5 minutes. Second on that?
Second.
Okay, 5 minutes in executive session for our stated reasons, which are confidential employee information pursuant to non-elected personnel exception in Tacoma and exception for employee-employer negotiations in Tacoma. So actually, it'd be a 7:46, back in open session, 7:51. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. at 7:51, so we're going back in open session here, and we're moving on to item 8.10, action on personnel.
All right, so recommendation for employment, Colleen Williamson. I recommend that she be employed as one of our full-time substitute teachers on a part-time basis, and then the district public relations effective July the 10th.
I move to employ Colleen Williamson.
Second.
Moved and seconded for that recommendation for employment. All those in favor say aye.
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 And you'll probably notice you've already seen some of her things in the newspaper where it says USD 503 and putting quite a few
She's
things
doing very well.
on the website.
Is she working with Mr. P?
She is. So he's been
I
off
thought that's what he was doing.
He is off contract now, so she's been doing the stories. He does all of our social media and all of our website management. And so he does some PR stuff too. So what he's done in the past, when he gets back on duty, he's on a little big trip for the next 2 weeks. When he gets back on duty, we're going to sit down and kind of line out who's going to do what, because you're right, it's all kind of intertwined. So we'll get that separated. So we've got some resignations from employment. Jenny Billingsley, middle school math aide, effective June the 30th, 2023. Nikki Brownwell, high school secretary, effective July the 7th, 2023. Gage Freeze, high school social studies teacher, effective July 12th, 2023. And Terrell Johnson, high school part-time evening custodian, effective June the 30th, 2023. I recommend that you approve those resignations from employment.
Move to approve.
Moved and seconded for those resignations from employment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
We've got the supplemental assignments for 23-24 on pages 51 through 54 of your packet. And we have one correction for under the elementary activities. We only have one vocal music instead of two. Otherwise, that's there. We do still have some open positions as well, but I would recommend that you approve those supplemental assignments as presented.
We spelled assignments wrong twice too.
Yes, and that was something she was going to correct as well.
Okay, there a motion on those supplementals?
Move to approve supplemental assignments for 23-24.
I second it.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve those supplemental assignments for the next school year. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, motion carries. No further business. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Is there something we need to sign?